How do you lovely people? It is I. So Q&A video. Let's see what questions you guys have sent me. Let's start off on YouTube, shall we? What suppliers do I get my paints from? From Chris Ovgi 1989. Just Google it, mate. It's easy. There's loads of suppliers in the UK that sell it. I either use CreateX UK or Simon Murray SM Designs over in Ireland. But whoever's got the stuff at the cheapest at the time, really. The masking stuff I use, not many people carry it. It's Ultra Mask. I have to go to airbrushes.com. Not airbrush.com, but airbrushes.com. But those are the main three, really. But just Google it. There's suppliers all over the UK that sell, CreateX and all that sort of thing. World of Glasscraft. Glad to see you resurfaced. Did you have a haircut or are you combing it different of late? As you can probably tell by my current hairy posterior, I'm in tramp mode at the moment. Is the Big Trouble in Little China guitar for Rob Chappers? I saw a vid where he said it's his fave film. Yeah, Rob does love Big Trouble. And me too. It's fond memories of my childhood. No, it's not for Rob. That is my own private ML1 guitar. That is for me. And ironically, I've got a pair of Rob's old EMG pickups to go in it, which is quite cool. I'm sure Rob would like it, but it's mine. Looking good, man. You look healthier or something. From Engeltier. Thank you. Just looking after myself a bit more, losing some weight, etc, etc. Helen Absalom. Great to see you back. What PSI setting would you recommend for detail work, and what percentage of reducer should I add to the paint if using auto air or wicked colour? Keep videos coming, looking forward to them. Thanks, Helen. I know some people turn down the PSI for detail work, and I mean, I'm not saying don't. You should always try various things and do what works for you. But personally, I use 35 PSI for everything, be it detail work, the lot. And reduction, again, that depends on your PSI, because where I use fairly high PSI for detail stuff, over reducing can cause you issues with spidering, and I get it to some degree, but I've got used to it. I'm comfortable with the way I work. High PSI, lots of reduction, but if you want to try my method, then if you're using, say, wicked detail colours, then I would reduce that 4:1 for detail work, so 4 drops of reducer for every drop of paint. If I was using something like E-Tac, then just 50-50, because E-Tac flows really well. Trident, again, just 50-50. Just experiment, really. Whatever you feel comfortable with working with. But that gives you some pointers. Marshall Stack 3203. What is that song?
It's me. Remember me?
Yeah, I remember you. What song's that? I can't even remember my own songs. Oh, that one. I can't remember off the top of my head. I will find out and I will post it here. It was from a stock music site. Next we have Facebook. From Scott Ryan. As a beginner airbrusher and wanting to try a black and white portrait, what would you suggest? Transparents or opaques? Transparents. I'll only use an opaque personally if I'm doing a base coat. Everything else is transparent. It just gives you more control over the tones, etc. So yeah, get those transparents working for you. Nathan Morrison, want to know how to transfer one of my drawings onto a motorbike tank. It's a black and white portrait. There's various methods for doing that. If you've got a projector, you can do it that way. Project it on and trace it. Or if you check my other videos, I've got one on a Jessica Alba guitar. That was a very small detailed black and white portrait. Have a look at that. You'll see that I got the picture and I cut out each little section. So I cut out the bright white bits, and then I cut out the grey bits, and then the dark black bits, and just spray through ever so gently, just dust through, just to give me markers like a road map on the surface, and then freehand it. Or the way I like doing things now, like on this is a Hayabusa bike, and it's having a Medusa theme all over it, and I'm just sketching it straight on. I've prepped it and primed it, and I'm using just a black watercolor pencil just to sketch the design on, and then I'll just freehand it. I'm loving the freehand stuff now. Masking has its places, it's useful, but it really slows things down, and when you've got as little time spare as I have, but you don't want to sacrifice the quality of the job, you have to find quicker ways of doing what you do without sacrificing the quality, and the way I found that is freehand. Skip the masking, just go for it. What you could do is use a product called Trace Down. It's like a wax-free carbon paper. Get some of that, trace the portrait onto the tank, and then if you're confident with your airbrushing, freehand it on. Hope that helps. Mark Keatley, how does the guy who drives the snowplow get to work in the morning? Congratulations on your engagement, by the way, Mark. Nice one. Tommy Nutter, how did you start as a business, and did you find it hard to get customers at first? Yeah, I did. Still do. It's just the way it goes in this business. I started off a long time ago in a galaxy far away, by putting an advert on eBay. You can't do it anymore because of the way they've sorted things out. They've changed their terms and conditions and stuff, but at the time I put... Hey. At the time I put an advert up for a guitar custom painting service, and I got I got my first job through that. Painted that one, put the advert up again. So like for the first 6 months I was just advertising on eBay one after the other and getting jobs through that. That way I built up a client list, built myself a reputation, and it just went on from there. Just make sure you you put yourself in the circles that you want to be associated with. Like, you know, I'm the guitar guy, so you know, I play guitar. I have my own collection of guitars just behind the camera. I've been playing for quite a few years, so I was already in the guitar scene, so to speak. But yeah, just put yourself out there. If you want to airbrush guitars, join up to some guitar forums, that sort of thing. If you're into bikes, for instance, I'm not known for bikes. I've done a couple in the past. I used to work for a custom bike place in Camberley where I did some paint jobs. I used to help out a friend where I did a lot of graphic, sporty type graphics and stuff, but I'm just not known for it. I'm the guitar guy, so get yourself into the circles you want to be related to for your paintwork and shout about it. Show people what you can do. If people aren't talking about you, then you won't get customers. Andy Lloyd, what made you want to do what it is that you do in all aspects, guitar, art and photos? And general Svee awesomeness. It's a weird one, that, because I originally started just as a hobby. It was purely a hobby. And then a few years back, I was sadly made redundant from my job building custom PCs all day, every day. And that, I wouldn't say forced my hand. It gave me the kick up the backside I needed to go full time on it. And luckily by then I had been doing it as a hobby for so long that I already had a reputation. I was known for my stuff. I had a good portfolio out there already. So that's how the airbrushing guitars and that got going. You know, it was originally a hobby. I played guitar, I also drew, so I combined the two. Then got made redundant and made it my full-time thing. Regards to the art, I was a comic geek as a kid. I still am. I won't hide that. I buy art books, comics a lot. I mean, you can see a lot of them over there. And running a business for dummies, I've just noticed that. Good book, that. Yeah, so comics, I just fell in love with the artwork in comics, and from a young age I was like, you know, that's what I want to do. I want to be an artist in some shape or form. I would spend all my pocket money on comics, buy everyone I possibly could. You know, Spawn, Judge Dredd, Real Ghostbusters, you know, and I would just stare at the pictures for hours on end, trying to pick them apart, you know, just deconstruct them in my mind to see how they would have put them together, and studying the way they would draw things in the comic book world, because there's a vast difference between comic style art and realism, or, you know, sticking to real type artwork, especially when it comes to pin-up type stuff. You know, in comic books they're given impossibly small waists that just couldn't exist in real life. You know, extra large thighs, shorter necks, bigger eyes, that sort of thing. So it just came about from that, really. And photography, that's a fairly recent thing. which spun off from me wanting to do my own artwork rather than album covers on guitars all the time and that. I wanted to do my own artwork, for which I found myself needing certain types of reference picture. And rather than sitting there for days on end looking through stock photography sites trying to find just that right picture, or trying to draw it from memory and possibly screwing up with scales and ratios and that lot, excuse me, I decided to try and shoot my own reference pictures. So I went out, brought a camera, and hired a model and got completely hooked. I really have. I love the whole photo manipulation thing now. You know, I'll take a picture and I will be, as I take the picture, I'll be thinking in my head how I can use Photoshop and that to manipulate the picture to create something that doesn't exist in real life or can't exist in real life, you know. And that's something I like to do with my own artwork. I like the, although my roots are in the comic style art, I love to do a mixture of that and realism, so to speak, even though my skills aren't good enough to paint realistic stuff like, you know, Drew Blair and all that lot. I like to try and mix the two up, but I like to create something that couldn't exist in real life, you know, because there are no bounds. That'll be the phone. Photography, yeah. So yeah, it came off the back of me wanting to do more of my own original artwork. I needed my own reference photos, so it spawned from that, basically. Torben, I apologise, Torben, I don't even know how to pronounce your surname. How do you figure out which layer to paint first? I normally like to work, I don't know, I guess I'm all over the place really. If I'm doing like a black and white portrait, then I tend to start with the mid-tones, then go for the darks, then the highlights, but it depends on the base coat. If it was a black base, then I would start with white, do the highlights, then go in with the blacks and do the shadows. But as a general rule of thumb, yeah, I'll lay down the mid-tone of whatever the subject is and then work from that, so adding the shadows or darker tones, and then finally the highlights. That's normally the way I like to go. Mike Doggett, wow, I've got a few questions from him, so here we go. Hi Svee, love your work and vids are great, very helpful, cheers for all your videos, you are very welcome. I started airbrushing last year with a small compressor, no tank. I want to upgrade. What are your views on compressors? I want one that will be big enough for an air gun as well as my airbrush. Is there a minimum tank size you would go for? I was thinking 24 litre. It would be going in my attic. Okay. First off, tank is a must. Especially if you want it to run an air gun. Because they can be greedy little suckers. I personally have a silent Bambi just under the desk down there, which struggles with an air gun, because of the fridge motors that are on it. You have to leave enough time for cooldown. You want a big enough compressor that will fill up the tank quickly, but if it's going in your attic, you're going to want to watch out for vibrations and sound, because the Bambi one I've got, it's relatively silent because it uses the 2 fridge motors on top. But you can get ones that will quite happily run all day every day, but they're incredibly noisy. I mean, we're talking roadwork levels, you know, it's like 90 decibels or something. It is loud. And if that's in your attic, then it's not going to be long before neighbours or family are pretty annoyed at you. So that's a tricky one, really. You want the benefits of a silent compressor, but with none of the downsides that come with using a fridge motor, i.e. cooling time. So yeah, I can't really help much there, except, I don't know, maybe if you got a silent one with a 50-litre tank. Bigger the tank, the longer it would take to empty, thus giving you extra cooling time. Don't know. Another one from Mike here. When you first started out charging for your work, did you charge a lot less than you might do now? Yeah. Oh yeah. It's something that a lot of newbie airbrush artists do. They undercharge for their work. A lot of people have said that I still do. But you have to go with your market. You know, if someone's guitar is worth 500 quid, they're not going to spend £1.5 grand on a paint job. You know, so it's a good job I do it for the love of doing it, and not as a how can I put it? Not as a profitable business. Let's put it that way. Because if I was trying to make profit at this, I would have failed a long time ago. And last one from Mike. What is Svee VIP? How do you sign up? Would you like to see the artwork from your fans, and where would they post them? Svee VIP is a section of my website that I've set up for helping out other artists. I figured if I was having trouble finding stock photography I could use, then there must be others out there with the same problem. So I thought about making a members section on my website, which is what the Svee VIP is. It's £5 a month, I think, and that gives you access to all of my spare photographs. You know, on the average photo shoot, I will take 400 or 500 pictures, out of which I will use maybe a dozen. You know, and there's hundreds of pictures going spare that somebody could get some use out of. So I thought, why not? So if you just go to my site, along the top there's a little VIP tab, and then you can sign up with PayPal or whatever every month, or if you just want to sign up for 1 month, sign up, get your month's access, grab the pictures you want, and then cancel it. It's up to you, or you can just leave it running and get access to all the new ones that I upload, because I do photo shoots all the time, so I'm always uploading new pictures to there. So it's entirely up to you, but that's what Svee IP is. And to sign up, yep, you go to my site. Would you like to see the artwork from your fans? I would love to see any artwork that people do. Best place to post it would be probably on my Facebook fan page. Address is there. Or, you know, you can catch me on Twitter or Google Plus, or if it's a video, email me a link to your video or post it as a video response. Tony Bennett, doing killer t-shirts. Do you know what? That's something I don't do, I'm afraid, Tony. I've only ever done the one t-shirt, which was a disaster. you know, I don't have a heat press or anything like that. I know they say you don't necessarily need one, but if I was going to do t-shirts and sell them, I would want them to last as long as possible. So I would want a heat press. So I'm afraid, Tony, I really don't have much experience with t-shirts. I can't be much help there. Gerald Tompkins, like your work, Svee, I use a siphon-fed airbrush. How do I get the paint from splattering on my work? If the paint is splattering on your work, mate, you've probably got a dirty needle. I guess you mean that you're painting away and then all of a sudden it'll just go and splat everywhere. So yeah, dirty needle, or you might have a problem that I get sometimes. I got a Olympus airbrush that I use here. A HP 100B, great little brush. I use this for like my base coats and stuff because it's really nice and responsive. It's great, although it has a tiny cup. But I don't know if it can focus on this. Come on. Focus. This here. The paint collects on the edge of this little end cap in there. And once it's built up a little bit, then it will spit all over my work. So check that that's not happening. Or if you've got one like this one with the two-prong bit, I used to have a problem where the paint would collect on one of these prongs here, and then when it got big enough, the air would catch it and all over your work. So check that's not the problem. Check the end of your needle isn't dirty, because if you're using water-based paint, the paint will collect on the end of the needle after a while, and then. But that's probably the issue. Just a dirty needle. If not, let me know. Or if you mean when you pull the trigger back and it spiders everywhere, that'll be a reduction issue. Let me know. I'll help you if I can. So that is Facebook. No questions on Twitter. No questions on Google+. So thus ends my first Q&A video. Hey! I hope that has been helpful. I have now been talking way too much and I badly need a drink because I'm losing my voice. And I will be back shortly. I've finished the tanner, so I've just got to edit up the video for that. Finished a Tron guitar that arrived with the customer today. He's well happy with that. And you'll see him and his band playing at the O2 in Oxford at the weekend, I think. You'll see that guitar doing its stuff up on stage, which would be cool. So I've got a video, I'll do a quick video of that with the lovely Emma J. Black modelling with it. Yeah. Any more questions you want answered, stick them down below. And yeah, speak to you soon.